Hey everybody, what's good? Your boy Mike Sears, Speaking Clout Podcast. I got my good friend with me, Greg Bonds. How you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Now that I'm sitting in my chair with a cat on my lap, a cat on my head, and staring at the Speaker Clout podcast logo in the middle of my screen, I am doing absolutely fantastic today.
Great, brother. And as y'all know, me and my homie Devereaux, he's a producer. We did the first Maiden album, 1980, which is like a Nawabum masterpiece, classic. And me and Greg here wanted to do an episode before. Yes, was we in an Alice in Chains Dirt review, but had some technical difficulties with that. So you know what? We decided to do Killers. And the first Maiden album was already done. So you guys know how I got into Maiden, and every time we do a new artist, we ask the guest. How did you get into Iron Maiden, Greg?
Well, that's a very good question. How I got into an Iron Maiden is I opened up the door to it and accidentally went inside, and the spikes went into me. Oh, and it was a long trip to the hospital afterwards. I mean, I had a punctured lung, it hit my
Oh shit!
spleen. Oh, I could go on and on, but oh wait, you're talking about the band. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
man.
a whole other story. Um, oh, the band Iron Maiden. I'm sorry. Um, well, okay. I'll try to keep this story as brief as I can without uh, destroying details. But basically, I first heard of Iron Maiden back when I was attending high school, mid 2000s. I heard some stuff like "Run to the Hills," and a couple other various songs, but it was a name I was becoming familiar with, but I didn't really check into the band. I was kind of figuring out, what direction to go, what artists and bands to follow. And at that point, I was really getting into Queen, and that was sort of the band that kind of stole my attention, and they still do. And but I heard of songs like "Run to the Hills" and "Flight of Icarus," "The Trooper," "Aces High," songs like that. And through those games, like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, they have like a song or two from certain bands, and I think I may have heard one or two of their songs on one of those games, but it didn't really hit me. It was like, okay, it's a good song, but it is what it is. Put them on the back burner. And then as the years go by, more people started introducing me to some more songs by theirs. And I'm like, okay, I remember that name. And I kept hearing talks about, Bruce Dickinson and, this amazing singer, the air raid siren, his storytelling voice, his operatic voice, stuff along those lines. And I'm like, okay, I will check. And so I started looking up, stuff on Iron Maiden on Wikipedia, most likely, and Bruce Dickinson. And, I'm like, okay, this guy, Bruce, looks like a great singer from the info I'm getting. He's a fencer, a pilot, has the word Dick in his surname, which, that's great. And he went by the name of Bruce, apparently. So I'm like, okay, this sounds like an interesting fellow. Maybe I should check out, his stuff. So, I was kind of listening to things on YouTube. I didn't have any albums by theirs at this point.
Yeah.
I only started really buying the albums out of high school, out of university. So I purchased Number of the Beast many years ago, like probably about 8 or 9 years ago, something to that effect. It was definitely at the beginning of this decade, if not maybe 2009. It was about 10 years ago, maybe. So my very first Maiden purchase was The Number of the Beast, and I like that album. Unfortunately, it didn't survive the test of time because a few years after that, my beloved tabby cat Boo Boo Kitty decided to turn that CD into his own personal scratching post, and he ended up scratching the shit out of it. But it was my fault though, because I had accidentally scratched it by mistake. It was totally my fault, and I had the CD turned upside down, so the lens part was up, and I was going up to grab like rubbing alcohol and stuff to like get the dirt out of it and try to minimize the scratch, because skipping CDs isn't exactly the way to go.
Oh, dog, I'm with you, brother.
No, so I'm like, I gotta get this taken care of. So I go downstairs. Sure enough, Boo Boo Kitty is on my desk with his front claws kneading that Maiden disc, scratching it up. And yeah, I'm like, wow, I should have took a picture of this and just put on Facebook, because I'm like, are you effing kidding me? But that's I basically I wasn't too happy, but but luckily I bought another copy of it down the road, and so that was that's all good, and I never made that same mistake again. So basically I try to keep my cats away from any sort of CD, because I don't want them scratching the shit up. But they found ways. My current cats have found ways to get things by jumping on my shelves and pawing things out and knocking shit off the desk. And it's a living hell. Help me. But but back to the Maiden part. So I had Number of the Beast for a couple of years, and then I'm on Facebook, and I found out about Ralph's YouTube channel through his Kiss reviews. And then I found the Facebook group Rock and Metal Combat Podcast, and I saw there's a huge Maiden following on this group. And I'm like, well, I have Number of the Beast, and I'm like, which one should I get? Which album should I get? And I remember writing something like, what album should I get? What should I start off with? I have Number of the Beast. And then they were talking to me about, hey, if you like this, go with this album. Check out this song from the first album. Check out this from Killers. And they started, putting the songs out there on the page. And at this point, I did not know this at the time, but I did not know that there was another singer in Iron Maiden that isn't Bruce Dickinson. So I go and click on this song called Remember Tomorrow. And all I saw was, the URL. I didn't see the thumbnail. I just saw Remember Tomorrow, Iron Maiden, whatever. And I click on it, links me to the YouTube page, and I'm like, okay, Bruce looks very different. He sounds very different. Who is this? And then I later found out that it's not Bruce Dickinson, but it's Paul Di'Anno. See how stupid I sound? I didn't know there was another singer. But yeah, so that's how I found out about Paul Di'Anno, was because someone put Remember Tomorrow on a page, and I didn't even know that there was another singer besides Bruce Dickinson. Now I know that there's other singers now, but back then I'm like, I didn't know. I must have been the laughing stock of the page at the time. But during this whole process, I'm being, people were writing to me, hey, give this album a shot, or try Power Slave. Basically, everyone was very helpful. So, taking all their advice, I started purchasing the Iron Maiden albums. I started purchasing them in early 2015, and I remember buying them pretty much in order. So, I started with the first album, and then got Killers, and then I already had Number of the Beast, so I went to Peace of Mind, Power Slave, and so on and so forth. So I have all of their studio work, and that's how I pretty much got introduced to the band more formally, is through the Rock and Metal Combat page, where everyone was being very helpful and giving me suggestions on what album to start with, and kind of giving me a direction. So basically I started with the 80s stuff, because that was apparently the general consensus is the 80s stuff is the place to start. So,
Oh yeah, I would say that too.
I started with that stuff, and then eventually I moved into, the 90s stuff, like, No Prayer, Fear of the Dark, and then found out that there was another singer in Iron Maiden, Blaze Bayley, who produced 2 masterpieces.
Oh god.
And then the reunion albums. So yeah, I got Killers officially early 2015. And so that's basically kind of my very quick story about how I got into Iron Maiden and how I got introduced to Killers.
And I'll say it again, just for the sake of the show. I'll be real quick. I got into Maiden because of my uncle. He got me into basically everything I listen to now from the past, So he was showing me Eddie, and the vinyl to the first record, and this is '95. I was 10 years old, mind blown. But I really didn't get the music until 1998, and this was when all the Maiden catalog got remastered, the '98 presses, and I got the album, the self-titled, but it was that ugly ass cover, man. That ugly laid out Eddie. I fucking hate that cover, man. And thank God.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Thank God. Earlier this year, I got the remaster of the original, man. So happy to have that. They remastered it in like a digipack. It got like a glossy finish and shit. It's really fucking cool. So I'm glad I got that. But that's how I started. I started with the first album. Then I got Number of the Beast, Killers, so on and so forth. All in like '98. It was like Maiden crazy. I was like 13. And they've been in my top 5 ever since, man. So that's why I got into them. But as y'all know, we did the first Maiden album. And it's a classic. It's my favorite Iron Maiden album. Absolutely, for me. And they didn't like the production on that album, so they got Martin Birch. And if you know metal, you know who the fuck Martin Birch is, man. This guy did masterpieces, Heaven and Hell, fucking a lot of other Maiden stuff. The guy is just perfect to me. Rainbow, I believe. So they got Martin Birch for Killers. And out was Dennis Stratton on guitars, and was Adrian Smith. And that twin guitar duo of fucking Dave Murray and Adrian Smith that we know now, you know what I mean? Without, Janet Gears with his fucking weird dancing. We had Dave and Adrian killing shit. Like, they're the equivalent of like, KK and Tipton for me. That's how much I love them. And, Paul's last album is Killers. So we shall get into Killers right now, man. 1981 it was released. And it starts off with the Ides of March. In my opinion, one of the greatest metal intros of all time. I love the instrumentation on here. So incredible. It gets me every fucking time. Just the way that shit starts, man. Amazing shit. I love it. It just gives me that traditional metal feel, which is my favorite form of metal, that traditional shit. That no album shit, man. I love it. What's your thoughts on the Ides of March, Greg?
Oh, I think it's a brilliant opener, and and I like the fact that it's a fairly short instrumental. It kind of sets the mood on what you're going to be getting yourself into, and it's just it's I've always loved it, and I love the fact that they opened up shows with this introduction. In the early '80s, because it's kind of like Queen's Procession, where it's instrumental. But as soon as you hear that, it's just wow. It's really powerful. It sets the mood. It's a great introduction to an album. It's a great introduction to a live show, and it really showcases the instrumental prowess of the band. And
Absolutely.
and I think it's a great way to start off this album. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Prowler, starting off, the first album, that's a fast-paced, heavy metal Iron Maiden classic, at least to me. But I mean,
Yeah.
Ides of March is like, it's equally as good, but it's different. It's instrumental, and it just sets the tone for everything. And the opening song is really important on an album. And regardless if it's an instrumental or not, it has to sound good, and it has to really hit the listener in many different places. It's got to be effective. It's got to have an edge to it. It's got to be something that's positively memorable, and just something that'll suck the listener in. And I think the Ides of March does a great job on all those fronts. So yeah, I think for an instrumental opener that's under 2 minutes, it does a brilliant job of capturing everything. So absolutely, I love it as an opener, and I would change absolutely nothing about it.
Same here, bro. Well said, brother. That's great. I like how you broke that down, man. Love that.
Yeah,
Then it
because
goes.
because you don't want bad openers
Oh no.
on an album, because if you have an otherwise solid album with a lot of great songs, but that opening track is weak, how many people are going to turn it off and not finish the album? It's like you got to have a really solid, memorable, great opening track to kick things off. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best song, but it has to be effective and at least good, because you do not want a bad opening song on an album.
Fuck no.
No.
No. And you go right into Rapchild, man. Amazing bass playing on here from Steve Harris. Clive Burr is ferocious on the drums. I'm a Clive Burr guy. I love Nico, but Clive Burr was just raw with it. I love Paul's vocals on here as well. The song is basically about a young man searching for his father who abandoned him in infancy, and he wants to get vengeance on him and shit. Like, that's cold-blooded shit right there. I love that. And love the performance they do. I think they do this at the Rainbow in like '81. I remember watching that, and just the stage presence was amazing on that shit. And Rap Child is one of my favorite Maiden songs of all time, man. Like, Diano kills that shit, man. Love it. One of my favorite songs on the album, man. Thoughts on Rap Child, brother?
Oh, I love Wrathchild. Great song. Was also very awesome live. Absolutely love that riff. Harris was, he is a great bassist, but back in the early days, in the Diano era, and I would say early Bruce albums, he seemed to have more of an edge to his playing. Like, it was less. It was. It sounded more fresh. It was more experimental. I mean, yeah, you still have the signature style that would develop, with the heavy metal gallop, the triplet gallop, but he wasn't afraid to go all over the fretboard. He wasn't afraid to do different things, and they played their asses off, because at this time, they're still a fairly new band, second album, and they're hungry. They want to, they're trying to conquer the world at this point. And so, there's that, they still have that raw edge to them. A very, very hungry band that wants to dominate the world. And absolutely love Wrathchild. Diano sounds great on it. And it's like, and like, I love Bruce. Don't get me wrong. I've always loved Bruce, but he is an amazing singer. But there are certain songs that certain vocalists fit better on. And as great as Bruce is, I don't think he can capture the rawness of these Diano tracks, really. So
I agree. Absolutely.
So
I agree.
So it's like, Diano, if you were to put them side by side, yes, Bruce may be more skilled in a lot of aspects, but Diano has like that really raw, kind of like that really raw forceful, aggressive voice. That's just it just sounds really good for aggressive songs, you know, with a big edge to them.
Even the content.
Yeah, because, you know, a good way to put it would be Paul Di'Anno is blue collar, Bruce Dickinson is white collar.
Yeah.
That's how I would separate it, you know. And it's like, I love them both equally, but, you know, it's like, you know, there's certain things Paul just does better because, you know, of his natural tone, and then there's things that Bruce does better because, you know, he's a totally different, you know, singer. It's like apples to oranges. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I can find tons of great Bruce performances where, you know, where he does a good job and tries his best on these, you know, early Maiden tracks, the Di'Anno stuff. But it's like, even on the best performances, like it just needs that really raw, guttural, you know, rougher voice like that Di'Anno had. So I mean, so as far as this early stuff is concerned for Di'Anno's albums, Di'Anno can't be topped at all.
I'm with you.
So I mean, yes, I love Bruce, and I think he's phenomenal, but, you know, it's like the early stuff is Di'Anno. It's tailored to his voice so much better, and it just doesn't sound right in a lot of cases if it's not Di'Anno singing the early stuff.
I'm with you.
But yeah, I absolutely love Wrathchild. Always loved it. Great riffs, great musicianship, vocals are on point, and it's a Maiden classic. And I believe that, you know, they still play it, you know, nowadays still. So, and I also believe that it was played well before, you know, the album was even made, because I think there's some early versions from '79 too that you can find on YouTube, and it was a little slower sounding.
You're right. Yeah, it's an older song. Yep.
Yeah, it was a little slower, but, you know, it was still essentially the same song. You know, Di'Anno sounded brilliant, you know, on those live performances. But I like when it's faster, you know, kind of like the album tempo, or even a little bit, you know, up tempo. But yeah, I absolutely love Wrathchild.
Yeah, great way of putting that, brother. I love that song too. Like, and it's funny that we talked about the content, because it's like Di'Anno was like that street kid, you know, getting into trouble, and fucking, you know, Dickinson's like the kid playing D&D, you know. It's kind of like the way of putting it, you know. But I love it though. I worship fucking Power Slave and Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind and all that. But I'm a Di'Anno guy, man. It's just does it for me.
I just wish his surname was like Dickano or something, because because I mean, because it make me feel better. But I mean, I don't know about you, but it's like,
no, I'm good with
it's like I mean, I got teased on on those early episodes of Maiden.
Oh yeah, Ian is relentless.
Oh
Ian's relentless.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he would have liked Di'Anno more if it was like Dick Otto in it. I'm like, you know, I was like, they read my mind too well. It's like fucking Maximilian Pegasus on Yu-Gi-Oh with his little Millennium Eye in my thoughts. It's just, you know, it's like all that bullshit. But whatever, Dick Otto or Di'Anno, it's all good with me. I don't give a shit. All right. Move on to the next song before rainbows start flying out of my mouth. Go ahead.
We got Murders in the Rue Morgue. Absolutely my favorite song on the album, man. The instrumentation in the beginning is fucking killer. At the beginning, it screams traditional metal, man. The song draws literature from an Edgar Allan Poe story. I love everything about this song. So fucking good. One of my favorite tracks on the album. Oh, my favorite track, I should say. A masterpiece, man. Murders in the Rue Morgue never gets old, man. I can listen to that over and over again. It's a great tune, man. Loving to do it live too with Di'Anno. I think he did that at the Rainbow as well, and I see some other performances of that. fucking amazing. Just a great, great track. You know, my favorite track on the album. Absolutely. Thoughts on that, Greg?
Oh well, for me, "Murders in the Rue Morgue" is definitely a top 10 track for me on the album. It's a great it's a great song. I love the riff, and I really like the intro where it's all nice and calm, and then it just gradually builds in intensity, and
Oh
it,
yeah.
and I absolutely love Diano's performances on it. Um, just a great song, and the riff is very powerful, catchy, and seriously, it is a top three song for me on the album, and I absolutely love this song to death, and again a song that Diano owns, and Mr. Dickinson can try his hardest, and he does a great job. He does a great job when he does it, but I always go back to the Diano album version because it just makes more sense.
Yeah, I think he did it on Live After Death. I haven't listened to Live After Death in a long time. And
That's that's good.
yeah, it was good, but you know, I like Diano. Like you said, Diano just does it better. You know.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily relate to skill. It's just his voice. It just suits the song more. It's more raw. It's more it it just that his tone just suits songs like this a lot more. It's more pleasing to hear it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, now we got another song that I fucking absolutely love. Another Life. The intro to this song is incredible. The drumming from Clive Burr is incredible. The bass playing from Steve is amazing. I love during the chorus how the bass mimics the guitar chords. I love that shit from Dave Murray and Adrian Smith. It's about a dude who his voice is in his head and is contemplating suicide. Basically, that's what I got from it, and it's just a standout track. I love Another Life, man. Great track. Think about that, Greg.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. I love this. I love Clive's drumming on it. And yeah, you brought up, Clive and Nico earlier. It's like, yeah, I love them both. I find Nico to be a little bit more, I would say, like kind of pushing towards a progressive, a little more
Yeah,
complex style. Whether Clive Burr is just a straight up, hard rock, drummer, and he has a groove. He has more of a groove, and it's really awesome on songs like this. And I think Clive Burr is a little more underrated because a lot of because Nico's been with the band for a long time, 30 like about 36 years, 37 years, something like that.
yeah. He came in at Peace of Mind. Yep.
And so Nico's been with them so much longer, but it's like don't forget about Clive Burr. He was no slouch. He was a powerhouse
Yes, he was.
on those early albums. So I think that Clive is massively underrated outside of hardcore Maiden fans of the early stuff, because I think he had a great groove, he had a great feel, and it's a shame that he ended up becoming stricken with, I believe it was multiple sclerosis,
Yeah,
and then ended up passing away. But in his prime, he was absolutely on fire. Just like if you listen to the live stuff he was doing with Maiden, with the Diano stuff, and then on the the Number of the Beast tour, he was amazing. Just like he was in the groove, in the pocket, and just a straight up amazing hard rock, heavy metal drummer. And he wasn't too flashy, but he played the songs for the song. He wasn't a show-offy drummer really, but what he did was super effective on those early songs. And
Yeah.
I could see why he's praised a lot, because he does what a drummer's supposed to do, besides, keeping the beat and keeping everything going. He knows his role. He doesn't try to, go overboard and kind of like overshadow everyone else. He sticks with what he does, and he does a great job. And that's why I love Another Life so much, because his drumming prowess, guitar work is great, and Di'Anno is great too. I will say, for this album, the song is kind of on the lower tier, but I still like the song. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's still great, but when you start getting to albums where it's like, oh, it's hard to rank some of these. It's like, even songs that I would put on lower tiers are, for this album at least, are still good. It's not like we're comparing it to some other random album where there's a lot of bad stuff, and then like the one good song isn't as good as like a decent song on another album or something. So yeah, I mean, I like Another Life, and it's a great song, but I would kind of put it on that sort of that mid to lower tier for the album, doing the median there, but it's still a very, very good song.
Yeah, I can understand that. Definitely. And then we get Genghis Khan, man. Great instrumental. I love it from Maiden. I love everything about it. Dave Murray's guitar playing on here is impeccable. I'm more of a fan of the Transylvania, the Fresh record. That instrumental on there. I'm more a fan of that, but Genghis Khan is still great. It's just definitely a standout instrumental for Maiden. My thoughts on Genghis Khan. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's great. Like you, I do prefer Transylvania, but this is still perfectly fine. I mean, it's if this is filler, it's killer filler, no pun intended. But it's good because before that you get these great songs, you get that great opening instrumental, and then you have two awesome songs, and then you have at least for me, a good song. And then this instrumental is great, and I see it as sort of like a like a breather type song. We're gonna throw this instrumental in, it's great, but we're gonna save better things after this. We're just getting warmed up. This is what I treat this instrumental as. Like, you made it through the first batch. Let's throw this instrumental on here. Give you some breathing room, and then we're gonna really kick the album into high gear. So I mean, I like Genghis Khan. No issues with it, but I see it as sort of a transitional, part of the album where it starts really getting good.
Oh yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Good way of breaking it down, man. I can see that. Innocent Exile, man. Oh man. Steve Harris's bass playing in the intro is great. The song is about a man running away from the law, but he's innocent. Steve Harris brings back that bass line like that he started in the beginning throughout the song. Shit is incredible. One of my favorites for sure, man. Innocent Exile just kicks a lot of fucking ass, man. Like, that shit fucking owns. Love it. One of my favorite tracks on the album, definitely. Your thoughts, Greg?
I absolutely love it. Di'Anno sounds brilliant on it. One of my favorite vocal performances of his from his Maiden days. Just great riffage throughout the song. Just great instrumental prowess by everybody involved. Again, Harris shines. And it's just an awesome song. And it's a shame that Di'Anno fell out the way he did with Maiden, because like I would have liked to see what they would have done with a third Di'Anno album, because
Oh man, yeah.
Because it's like you listen to the first album, and then it's straight up just heavy metal, new wave of British heavy metal, and you got the stuff like Remember Tomorrow, which is one of my favorite Maiden songs of all time.
Yeah, my favorite period is that. Absolutely.
And then you get to this album, and everything seems a little bit more like, I would say it's a step. It's a little bit more polished. Obviously, the production plays a big role because you have Martin Birch, but it's like they're taking a step. They're building off of the first album. It's becoming a little bit more complex. That's the point of, like, say the progressive metal stuff that they would start doing later on in the decade. But it's like they're building off of this. Things are getting a little more complex. You have, Clive doing a lot more amazing drum fills. Di'Anno sounds stronger on this album compared with the first album. And he was no slouch on the first album, but here he's
Not at all.
he's stronger here. He's experimenting more. He was really starting to come into his prime, his peak here. And the bass playing is superb. And it's like, this, I would have loved this lineup in general to just do one more album and stuff, because I really wanted to hear what they would have done after Killers if Di'Anno was still fronting the group and he didn't run into the issues that things were going around with him during this time. But I wanted to see if they would build off of this or how would Number of the Beast would sound with Di'Anno. I don't know what they would have done. but yeah, I absolutely love Innocent Exile. Great song.
Oh yeah, kick ass tune. Lucky you broke that shit down, brother. Then we get Killers. Oh man, title track. Steve Harris, he's mentioned a lot, man, because that bass playing is something else on here, man. Fantastic shit. I love the galloping throughout as well. That shit is so raw. What did Di'Anno say? You walk through the subway, his eyes burn a hole in your back. That shit is hard, man. Love that shit. The song is about a madman who stalks people in the subway and kills them, basically. I love the riffing on here. Shit is incredible. So fucking good. Amazing title track. Dave Murray's guitar solo is superb. Scream for Mercy. He laughs as he's watching you bleed. Man, that's some raw shit. You can't get that with Bruce, man. You want to like fucking play little sword fighting and D&D all day, but you killing motherfuckers on Di'Anno records. It's that grind, that raw shit. I love it. Great lyrics, great fucking concept. Some horror movie shit going on there. Great tune, man. Absolutely.
Well, if I wanted to bleed by Bruce, I would let him fence me in the chest, or we'll put him on the set of Game of Thrones. We'll have some fun there. But in terms of that'd be great. Fencing with Bruce on the set of Game of Thrones.
Right.
Oh, it's like forget the mountain and the hound going. I want to go at it with Bruce. But but in terms of the music parts of it, Killers. Oh, Di'Anno sounds amazing with the screams. Very Halford-esque screams. I'll say that. Yeah, because in his prime years, when Di'Anno was at the top of his game, when he would do his high screams, they were very reminiscent of Rob Halford. And I've always loved Halford as a singer, and I'm like, I hear Di'Anno, and I'm like, kind of reminds me of Halford, and I'm like, man, it's like, man, I wish he still could sing like this now, because in his prime, Di'Anno was a very underrated singer.
Absolutely.
And I don't think he gets enough respect for his work that he did as a vocalist during the 80s, because because some of the stuff he did after Maiden, he did like a self-titled album in '84, and he did stuff with Battlezone.
Yeah, I heard some of that shit. He's rocking the mullet during that era.
Yeah, and it's like, no matter the material, he had a rock solid, awesome voice during the '80s.
Absolutely. He did.
Yeah, because like, I don't know if you've heard it, the '84 album he did. It's called Di'Anno.
I didn't hear that record. No.
It's I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it doesn't sound anything like Battlezone or the Maiden work. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh shit.
But he sounds phenomenal on it. It basically the great Maiden voice that you hear on his albums carries over to that record.
Awesome.
And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But yeah, I absolutely love Killers. One of my favorites off this album. And yeah, showcases, a very raw, hungry band and Diano's singing. So, absolutely phenomenal song.
Oh yeah, couldn't agree more, bro. That's probably my second favorite song on the album. Definitely Killers. Then we get The Prodigal Son. Love this track as well. It's about someone who uses black magic. The riffs on here are incredible. Paul's voice is amazing on here too. Such a fucking incredible tune. I love the bridge of the song too. That guitar solo was so fucking good. Oh Lama, please try to help me. Oh man, love that shit when Diano sings that. It's an amazing tune, man. Like fucking so far, it's like the new album Sergeant Pepper. There's like not one bad track for me. You know?
Well,
Amazing.
it's early Maiden. I mean,
Yeah, man. All those early Maiden albums, I probably like 80 to 88. I like everything damn near. I can't even tell you there's like any weak tracks, man. Like on the Kiss records, I was talking to my uncle today about it. Like, I'm a big Kiss nerd, so like the early '70s records, at the first three, I like damn near everything. But once it gets to like Destroyer, I hate Great Expectations. Love Gun, I hate fucking Then She Kissed Me. But on Maiden, it's like I like everything damn near. Those 80 to 88.
well, I'll tell you. There's some great Kiss songs, on some of those records, like, there's a great song called, She's So European.
Oh
Uh,
man.
um, What Makes the World Go Round. Kiss doing what they do best, catchy pop tunes. And
Oh Lord.
I said that on the Ironcast episode we did for Unmasked. But I said, this is what I like to see from Kiss, catchy pop. And then then you have Mr. T and Luke wanted to fucking strangle me after the recording.
That was getting ready for you to say some great tunes, and he says fucking she's a European. Like what the fuck, man?
I was pulling that stunt, and they were just they sounded so disgusted. Then when the recording ended, they wanted to like throw me out of my apartment through the window, because I'm like, yeah, this is what Kiss does best, catchy pop. And
and my uncle was telling me, because my uncle, his favorite band is Kiss. He was telling me that it kind of sucked for him because all his friends were talking about Iron Maiden and AC/DC Back in Black came out that same year, and fucking Heaven and Hell,
Mm-hmm.
And his favorite band put out fucking Unmasked, so come on, it's kind of fucking terrible.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
there,
like
but...
Shandy, that really heavy ballad, and
oh man,
and Easy as It Seems, that power pop classic.
I don't physically own Unmasked. I never fucking will. Fuck that.
Well, I don't blame you. We'll get back to some good music, so you can stop throwing up over there. But yeah, go back to a Prodigal Son. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, Son. Yeah. Sorry, we got off track a bit, but it's always fun to talk with other music. But yeah, thoughts on Prodigal Son, Greg?
Absolutely. Unlike most of the songs from Unmasked, this is actually a good song. But and actually, I would consider this probably one of the most underrated Maiden songs of all time.
I agree,
because it doesn't sound like Maiden, because if you listen to all these other songs, it's gritty, it's heavy, it's raw. You got that street vibe. Here, it sounds nothing like Maiden. It honestly sounds like something that the Who would make, like a Pinball Wizard-esque kind of a track.
which is a
or
track I love as well too. So
yeah.
yeah.
So it sounds very atypical. It sounds like something you would hear, like Pinball Wizard or like Quadrophenia. It's like something. It's like almost like an art rock song. It sounds so atypical for Maiden, but it works so well. I one of the most underrated and underappreciated Maiden songs, just because it sounds different, and they took a risk. They thought outside the box and they tried this new style, and for me, it worked brilliantly. And I just wish they would go back to stuff like this for, their more modern albums, because they took a lot of risks with stuff like Killers and the self-titled. They were genre jumping, because Prowler and
Oh yeah.
Remember Tomorrow sound nothing alike.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, Prodigal Son, probably at least top 3 of the most underrated and underappreciated Maiden songs out there. And I can't stress enough that just because it doesn't sound like typical Maiden doesn't mean it sounds bad. So I stress everybody who is at the very least a casual Maiden fan to please check out that song, because it's so different. But to me, it's such a good song.
Yeah. Fuck that. I'm back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think my rant on Prodigal Son probably destroyed your connection. I'm sorry about that.
Brother, it's the fucking tablet that I need a new tablet. But Purgatory, man. I love how fast and raw this shit is. Although I absolutely love Dickinson, this is why I prefer Diano, because shit is just grimy as fuck, man. Purgatory is a place, in the afterlife where it's like between heaven and hell, and bitches talk about that in the song. Love it. I love the 12-inch artwork to the single as well. It's fucking awesome. Love that. Half Eddie, half Devil Face. So fucking cool. Just a great standout track. I love Purgatory, man.
Uh,
Thoughts on that?
oh, Purgatory. One of my all-time favorite songs of Maiden, especially in the early era. This is probably my favorite song, if not tied for my favorite. Absolutely love it. I think it's one of Paul Diano's best performances. My favorite part about the song is about like a minute, 10, minute 15 into the song where it kind of starts going into that guitar riff, and then Paul comes in with the please part. I absolutely love that part. He sounds awesome. It's just an amazing song, and it's like, I can't see modern Maiden pulling this off at all. It's
Nah,
just, this is a special song for a special era. I absolutely love Purgatory. One of my favorite songs off this album, and
absolutely.
and yeah, one of Paul's best vocal performances. And yeah, I absolutely love this song to death. And yeah, I see no reason to not like it, because, well, it's on Killers. So so there you go.
Yeah. Then we get isn't on the European versions, and it wasn't on. I played it through Spotify. I got a premium Spotify,
Mhm.
and they didn't play it on there. It's like, let me get my fucking iPod out. I keep all my CDs on my iPod, so I listened to Twilight Zone on there. And Twilight Zone is absolutely incredible. Love this song. Short and sweet, man. Paul's vocal.
Oh, the connection cut out.
Got booted out again. Fuck off.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck. But yeah, Twilight Zone. Absolutely love this song. Paul's vocals are here, they're amazing. It's a perspective of a dead man's ghost. He talks about how he's lonely and without his girl, and he ends up stalking her and shit. I love the 12-inch cover to that too. It's like a bitch put on a makeup and you got Eddie as a ghost in behind it. Oh, it's fucking awesome. Twilight Zone is great. It's on the 98 pressing of this. If you buy the remaster, the digipack it won't be on that, but it's on the 98 press. Love it. Twilight Zone is great.
Yeah, I mean as you said, this was not on the original release at all. And the funny thing is the 81 North American version has the song, but then you go to and then on the 95 reissue it's on the bonus disc. Yeah, the version I have is the 98 American remastered, so it has it as track 10. But yeah, I just had to make sure what version I was looking at because I'm like, I don't want to fuck up the order here of the tracks and stuff. But yeah, I'm glad I have a version with Twilight Zone on it. Yeah, I absolutely love this song. It is my favorite Paul Di'Anno vocal performance on the record, and at least for me, top 5 at least of his best vocal performances he's done. Just incredible singing. They played this song on the 81 tour on the Japanese leg. It's brilliant. Paul sounds better on those versions than the album.
Oh man!
And when Bruce joined the band in late '81, they did a bunch of shows in Italy, I believe, to kind of bring him into the band and stuff. And Twilight Zone was performed there. Bruce does a great job, on that. But I'm sorry, but I'll take Di'Anno any day on Twilight Zone.
Absolutely, I can't hear Bruce on it.
And yeah, it's the other song that's tied as my favorite track on this album because the vocals are just so freaking good, and it's a short but sweet track. It's 2.5 minutes, but hey, a short great song is better than a song that's very long and not so good.
Right?
So yeah, absolutely. I love Twilight Zone. One of my absolute favorite songs ever for Maiden, especially on this era. So absolutely love it. So go on with the last song on the proper album,
which is Drifter. And it's like one of the most kind of lighthearted songs on the album because all this album is about fucking murder, killers, obviously. But I love it, man. Absolutely love it. Paul Di'Anno's voice is fucking pristine on here. Instrumentation is great. A perfect way to end this fucking fantastic masterpiece of an album. Martin Birch did great producing it. It sounds very crisp, but raw at the same time. Di'Anno's vocal performance, I think, is my favorite on here, other than the first album. But the first album is my favorite album, period, for Maiden. But Killers is just a masterpiece. No, all killer, no filler, man. For me personally, Thoughts on Drifter, Greg?
Absolutely. I really, really like the song. I think it's a great album closer in the same vein as, the self-titled album track on the previous album. It ends the album on kind of like an upbeat note. It's more, as you said, it's not nearly as dark. It's a little bit lighter sounding, but it's still great.
Yeah.
And it comes across as like, compared to the other songs, it comes across as more of like almost like a jammy kind of a song. Like you can, like when it was played live, they would extend it with, they extend the song and everything. But it feels like a great song to just get up and play on stage and just extend it with that riff and that tempo and stuff. And it's a great way to close the main album. I mean, it's not my absolute favorite song on the album, but it's an effective closer, if that makes sense. And it works very well for what it does. And
Absolutely.
it has that replay value where, if you have the album last track, it's like I want to go back and I want to start the album again. I want to listen to it again because I think it closes the album great. Let's go back to the beginning.
Absolutely.
I think it ends the album on a very high note. So yeah, I really like Drifter, and I think it does a very good job of closing the album.
I couldn't agree more, man. What a great closer that is. And there you have it, folks. Iron Maiden Killers, 1981. Like Speaking Clout does, we rate the album. I'm giving it a five mics for me. 5 mics, like the old Source magazine used to do it. It gets a 5. And top 3 tracks for me would have to be Murders in the Rue Morgue, Killers. Oh, this is tough.
I can hear you sweating. I know it's tough, isn't it? It's like you're doing the songs disjustice if you don't pick them.
And, Twilight Zone, fuck it. Twilight Zone and Drift is kind of battling the last 2. I love those tracks so much, but I go Twilight Zone, even though it's not on like the European original, but I'll go with that. My top 3. So it's Murders in the Rue Morgue, fucking the second one I picked. Killers and Twilight Zone. What do you got, Greg?
Well, going off your rating scale, I would give it 5 mics out of 5.
Yep.
My top 3 tracks, I would say Purgatory, Twilight Zone, easily there. And then the third is like a toss-up between Prodigal Son, Wrathchild, or Murders in the Rue Morgue. I would probably, I'm gonna do just justice to other songs if I pick it. So what I'm gonna tell you about my top songs. I'll tell you my top songs.
Yeah.
For this album in order. Because I've studied this and I decided to make a top 11 out of
11.
Yeah. No, wait. So my top 3 will be Purgatory, Twilight Zone. I'm gonna go with Wrathchild. But Murders in the Rue Morgue and Prodigal Son are like a cunt hair behind that. So it's like if I were to do 4 and 5, those would be the 2 songs.
Yeah. Great, brother. All right, there you go. I gotta go. Go ahead, Greg. You know
also, what I was gonna add is, you said that, the self-title is your favorite Maiden album, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We share that same view because I think the self-title is my favorite, and I think the best work they've done. Where would you rank Killers?
Killers is my second favorite. Then Power Slave. Yeah, that's how I got my shit.
Yeah, for me, my top 3 albums. Number 1 is the self-titled. It flip-flops. 2 and 3 flip-flop between Killers and Power Slave. Those are my top 3. Those are the only 3 albums out of all the Maiden albums that I have to start at the first track and listen to the whole way through. I can't start in the middle. I can't pick a random song and just jump around or hit shuffle mode. I have to listen to it properly, front to back. Those are the only 3 Maiden albums I do that on. Now I love, Number of the Beast, Seventh Son. I love those albums. Those would be my the other 2 that round up my top 5. But I don't know, something about those top 3. the Diano albums and Power Slave, I have to listen to it from front to back. There's something about those albums.
Like an experience hearing the whole fucking album. It's just like fucking amazing.
Yeah, and absolutely. Like I love Killers, top 3 for me. And I'm not disappointed by it at all. I think that it's an absolutely a phenomenal record. And part of me is like, man, I wish the Slant did one more album or something. But then again, I'm like, well, at least we have 2 albums with Diano being the frontman and singer, and they're both phenomenal. So we have 2 early Maiden masterpieces.
I agree.
And so, I mean, there you go. I mean, I would much rather take, 2 masterpiece albums, leave it at that, than have 2 masterpieces and then maybe a third album that doesn't quite make it, that doesn't, live up to the reputation. So,
yeah, because with Bruce, they kept getting fucking more amazing. For me, up to 88.
Yeah, because so it's like, hey, if we only got these 2 Diano albums, I'm happy because they're both awesome, and I love these albums. I high replay value on them, and I absolutely love these Diano albums, and I always would recommend these. Like if you want more of the progressive Maiden stuff, I would tell you to pick out something like Seventh Son. If you want sort of like a hybrid between like proto-progressive Maiden and like the new wave of British heavy metal sound, go for Number of the Beast. But if you want raw, Maiden metal, the Diano stuff.
Absolutely. Like I said, the content is like only that raw you can get with Diano. You can't get that raw with Dickinson, but it's still amazing music either way. But got to get going to go see my little brother. It's his birthday today and shit. But I had a blast, Greg. You're welcome back anytime. Like I said, I want to do Queen News of the World with you.
Oh, absolutely. That'll be a fun episode.
Oh yeah. Fucking Steve talking about hot space and shit. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if he starts talking about that, I'll be like, well, there goes my erection. But then again, if he starts bringing up body language, I'm like, I'll be down there. I'm like, oh, stay down, you son of a bitch. But then again, I'm afraid almost. But I would absolutely love to do a Queen episode, News of the World.
Oh yeah, I want to do that next with your brother. Hell yeah.
And if I get trapped by you or your buddies having to do hot space or talk about hot space, I will just, I don't know what I would do if I would make my camera turn on, and I will just wear a leather jacket with a leather hat. I don't know what I would do.
Oh shit.
Because I'm like, if God forbid hot space starts being talked about, I'll just get in character and start, wearing my leather hat and looking like, I'm a Rob Halford groupie. I don't give a shit anymore. But either way, absolutely, I would love to do more work with you.
Oh yeah, Greg, I had a fucking blast, man. You're a funny motherfucker, man. So.
I try. I mean, that's what happens when you listen to a lot of Freddie Mercury music and have a bunch of cats. You tend to and then consume your body weight and set soft drinks and stuff. You tend to get a little bit goofy and a little crazy.
I love it though, man. So yeah, man, Iron Maiden Killers, that second record, I think it's a masterpiece, and I will see you motherfuckers later. Thanks, Greg.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a good one, brother.
I will. Thanks.
Peace.
Peace.